let's move on to our next session, which is again on a very topical issue. We had been talking about channel partners, we had been talking about brokers. So our next panel will be specifically talking about real estate broking shifts, navigating complexity and regulations. Yes, there are a lot of complexities coming in this segment of real estate as well. So let me introduce our next panel members to our audience. I welcome our moderator of the session, Farook, who is the Chairman and Managing Director, Silverline Group, and Chairman Emeritus and Founder President at FIAPCI India. Farook has been in the real estate business for over 43 years and was the World President FIAPCI that represents 70 countries covering all 4 verticals of real estate. He is also a fellow RICS. Let me introduce our panel members in an alphabetical order. I invite Abhishek Singh, founder and CEO Bellwether, with over 12 years of experience in sales and marketing across FMCG, pharmaceutical, and unicorn startups. Abhishek Singh has an extensive experience of technology-led sales, implementing automated customer-focused innovative communications, and a sustainable agile channel partner network creation. Our next eminent panel member, I introduce Arun Anand, founder, Flow Realty. Arun Anand has a strong experience in setting up and running various functions of marketing, and he has cross-functional and cross-industrial experience from BFSI to IT to real estate, and from marketing to finance to general management. A versatile profile. Our next eminent member of this panel is Asha Singh, Vice President Marketing, 360 Realtors LLP. Asha Singh, with more than 17 years of professional experience, is specialized in marketing and brand management and is an effective communicator with good presentation skills, strong analytical problem solving, and organizational abilities. Our next and final member, I introduce Dr. Dheeraj Dogra, VP and Head Commercial Leasing, M3M Private Limited. Dheeraj Dogra is a global realty and retail analyst and has over 30 years of experience in business development with global retail chains like Macy's, Bloomingdale's, and Bed and Bath and Beyond in the US. He has also held leadership roles with developers like DLF, Ansals API, Omex, SREI Infra, Express Avenue, and BNP Paribas Real Estate. Our next and final eminent panel member is Dr. Vishesh Rawat, Vice President and Head Sales Marketing, CRM and Leasing at M2K Group. Dr. Rawat, with a proven successful track record of more than 21 years in marketing, sales, strategy, business development, and leasing, has cultivated deep insights in the domain of residential, commercial, and retail real estate markets across India. So this is our eminent panel. Let me also inform Mr. Dogra would be joining midway. He will take some time to join, but till now we can start the panel and the discussion with our other panel members. Mr. Mahmood, I hand it over to you now.
Thank you, Sratma, for the lovely introduction. And I'm sure we're going to have a wonderful discussion today. And thank you, Abhishek, and welcome to this panel discussion. I think we've got a set of experts here and people who've been in the business for a long, long time. We've got brokers, realtors, people who are from the development field. So I think it's going to be a kind of a bouquet of services and sales and products that one can take a lot from the session. So I start with Abhishek. What have been the good and bad bearings of RERA regulation on the brokers? What's your take on that?
So yeah, I think RERA has changed the way business was happening in real estate, and not only limited to brokers but the entire developer fraternity. It is still in the very early stage, I would say, but then it is the right step in a for organized sector. And it is very early stage. The government has set in a few rules, regulations, but for most of the broker community, almost 70-80% don't even have the basic hygiene of an agent registration or for that matter RERA numbers. they are not registered, and those who are more of organized are doing it. But then the entire the industry operates in such a manner that even if you have registered as a broker, as an agent, the transactions which are happening, or the regulations for which it is meant, or if there is any issue in transaction, customer complaint, it is there is nothing where an agent is involved. It is mostly between the buyer and the seller, and many other things are apart from doing a formal registration with the authority. There is not much for the broker community.
Thank you, Abhishek. And what's your take on it, Arun?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. It's amazing to be part of this panel moderated by Farook Bhai. Yeah, but I think from my point of view, in two sense, I think starting to regulate the agent part is a very interesting and important part. Definitely a great first start by a great authority like RERA. Definitely much needed start. But having said that, a regulation of a agent is a very tough part. How TRI or IRDAI for insurance, how they are regulating agents, this has matured over last many decades. Whereas in RERA, the only part they are mandating is the agents have to be registered. But even from the definition of an agent to documenting the agent's presence in a transaction to ensuring that the agent is certified enough to sell real estate, like an insurance broker, which is selling a 5,000 rupee insurance, he has to pass certain tests and certain quality checks are there, get a certificate registration which is valid for a few days. Then he has to recertify how insurance can be sold. A lot of training and testing is being done before he can sell something like a 5,000 rupee insurance. Whereas in real estate, we deal with crores and rupees, hundreds of crores of transactions. Some of these people even do 100 plus crores of transactions, especially people very close to Farook Bhai himself. So the key question is, how do we define these people? How do we ensure that all the staff of all the key agents are certified, trained, and there's a particular certification mechanism that happens? And more importantly, even today, a presence of a real estate broker in a transaction is not documented in a neutral way. Sometimes some of the booking application forms of the developer see there's a column for agent, the seal is being put. But beyond that, sometimes the process is also missed by the real estate developer as well as agents. Documentation and being part of the agreement, being a signatory to the agreement as a confirming party. Some of these are very important from a long-term point of view. But yes, a great start by the RERA, but a long way to go to reach even how IRDA is doing or even how international markets are doing. So I would like to keep my opinion to this much.
Thank you, Arun. Very informative. Asha, what's your take on this? But before you come in, I just want to mention that what you've said, Arun, has a long past where you dwell upon education as an aspect where 5,000 rupees insurance sales goes through a training. I'm in full agreement with you that realtors, brokers, associate, channel partners, whichever name you might call the individuals who help selling real estate.
Yeah.
From that perspective, I think a lot of associations are there, and National Association of Realtors, who I was the founder, president, and vice chairman a couple of years ago. We used to delve upon the importance of training programs, train the trainer, education as an ongoing process. In fact, I know of a couple of things that we say that so many hours of education is mandatory. I mean, it's a self-imposed kind of a code of conduct thing that we talk on that. But by and large, from that perspective, I think one is getting into this. Over to you, Asha, and then we.
Yeah, so I agree with Arun. It was a very good start, and it is a good start because eventually the entire industry was quite unorganized, and it was something which was quite rampant with people did the way they thought that they're going to get customers. So the objective of getting RERA was obviously with the very novelty factor of getting customer first, because eventually at the end of the day, it's the customers who are the king. And in that aspect, I think the thought process went well. However, it started in 2016 and we are in 22. And in these 6 years, I think there are a lot of things that should come in along with registration. Yes, we saw a lot of consolidation in the market. It is a very important step because eventually everybody should be held accountable with what they are selling or what they are marketing, and how the customers are getting affected. But it has to go beyond that as well, because it is quite restricted and it is quite regional as of now. And that is also because the land laws and a lot of aspects are regional in real estate, because of which there is not much uniformity. So talking from my own personal experience, maybe a Maharashtra RERA is very different than a Haryana RERA. Me being a broker, we deal with all kind of RERA authorities, and there has to be a uniformity in that aspect, because ultimately a customer is a customer, and there has to be a certain faith and trust in the industry as such. So that's what I feel.
I agree with you, Asha. Very important points there that you raised about different states having different rules and regulations, and one size doesn't fit all here in this particular way. And one has to tailor make for different states, different policies. And also, one of the things that has been a long-standing demand of the industry has been licensing across India as one license. Now, if I have to practice in Delhi, Gurgaon, and the other cities, I think I need to have 3 licenses to be a part of the same thing here. So that's a little cumbersome and tiresome. So over to you, Doctor, for your views, Dr. Vishesh.
Hi, Farook bhai. Thanks for inviting me for my views. I'm pleased to be part of this August gathering here. I see only good bearings on of RERA regulations on the broker community. Number one, customer can take an informed decision that who is the RERA registered broker, who is not. So in one way, this has made 2 group of brokers, one who are becoming more professional, one who are getting themselves trained, one who are providing good services, and they are RERA registered. So they have in sort, like they have made a separate group for them. So customer can identify that these are the guys, these are good brokers, they are RERA registered, I must go to them for doing a particular transaction. So this is one. Next is even builders. Builder, as a builder, we see that if this certain broker is RERA registered, definitely we would like to work with him. Otherwise, in a smaller tier 2, tier 3 city, there were lots of brokers who were not RERA registered. Now, because of the law has mandated it, we need to make it ensure that if such brokers are even bringing some bookings, so they have to route it through RERA registered brokers. So from this perspective, even the small time brokers, they are also now thinking that they must also get them registered. They must also set up some sort of office for themselves. So this is a good step towards regulating and making this profession professional. So in that construct, I see that these are definitely good regulations that are helping the brokers, industry overall, and builders as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor, for your inputs on this. From that perspective, what you have said is right. But, you really don't have any real challenges to become a RERA broker, registered broker. It's just a form that you fill in and pay the money, and that's it. It doesn't qualify you for certain standards, doesn't qualify you on a code of conduct, code of ethics, etc., etc. Likewise, even developers who register themselves for RERA, from that perspective, if one looks at things out there, you're supposed to have the do's and don'ts, which you pass on to the brokers to pass on. If I'm saying you're giving me blue marble and I'm saying it's violet, so I'm violating the rules. So if it's blue, it's blue. And sometimes it becomes very easy to, identify saying that the easiest man in the crowd there to point out is the broker, and he carries the burden and the onus of the responsibility of what the developer has to do. Basically, it's the developer who has to build. He has to get things done as per law. The broker is a very small cog in the wheel who just helps you get the buyer and seller, get the final handshake done through, stays with you till the end of the transaction and make sure that everything is smooth till the end. There are brokers who just do the handshake over the telephone and they expect the money. There are also brokers who handhold you to the end of the transaction. But having come to that, we'll come back to our next question. With the raise in regulatory framework in terms of project, advertising, selling, what are the new ways channel partners promote projects? Abhishek, your take on this?
Yes, Mr. Farook. So the good point is, the post-RERA, the advertisement, people cannot sell project which are not registered. It is ideally illegal to kind of promote, sell. Before that, it was happening. It was happening, rampantly. But at least there is a control first. Second, as a broker community, they get a lot of feeds from organized mandate companies, or a lot of support from developers to get the right set of creative, do the right set of targeting, especially digitally. But then there is also people find find newer ways wherein I have personally witnessed brokers who have they kind of lower the the ticket size. They kind of circumvent around the project and then offer better services, which a customer, once he goes to the site, does not find out. So there are multiple loopholes because they have nothing to lose. The regulations are not so strong, wherein people raise queries or can take the community, or especially to the brokers to court, and kind of it doesn't restrict them to find loopholes. But yes, it's a right step forward. There are multiple things which will evolve during the the journey of RERA, and I'm sure the organized player who does most of the business are kind of sticking to rules and regulations, and they are going to bring a lot of transparency, lot of changes in how the entire lead generation or communication operates.
Thank you, Mr. Abhishek Singh. Very valid point there that you have about brokers, substandard, etc., etc. But all five fingers are not alike, and even developers, the good developers and the not so very good developers who follow rules, and some who don't follow rules, some who break the law openly, and some who use the broker to break the law for them. So there are many things that one can go on this particular thing. But point noted about what you state on different categories and different things. But one should remember, you pay the broker only once he does the job for you, and not for bringing somebody to your project to give an inspection. So he's an unpaid employee of the company, the developer, where he puts in his investment, takes his own office, pays his own rent, pays electricity, pays his telephone bills, hires his own staff, works for you, and you only pay him a referral fee or a fee on him completing the job. But having said that, I'd like to move over to Arun for his point of view.
Yeah, so very definitely a very interesting discussion. Of late, how broking has transformed, especially in the last 4 or 5 years, is in the earlier days, the brokers, really did play a very significant role in concluding the transactions. There is an element of convincing the customer. There is an element of making the developer take one step in a transaction and arriving both the parties to come midway, and also building an element of trust between all three of them. Right now, what is happening is the issue is with all this digital marketing becoming so easy and low entry barrier for brokers, what is happening is, and thanks to the COVID also came in. Nowadays, the broker means typically just passing a lead. Okay. Mr. Arun is interested. This is his number. You may reach out to him. This is one WhatsApp message comes, and then and after that, I'm not talking about all the developers, all the brokers being like this, but there is a big chunk of developers, brokers who just pass on a lead to the developer, and then expect the developers team to do all the heavy lifting, and many of these leads are just leads which are inquired for some other project, they just pass on. So it's very important to, for a regulatory point of view, number one, they should also make it very easy for who are the people who could also become brokers. A wealth advisor could also become a real estate broker. An insurance broker could also become a real estate broker. A doctor is also becoming a real estate broker these days. So, on one hand, regulatory should make it very easy to bring innovation in terms of who all could become brokers. Second, on the second hand, it's upon the brokers to be self-conduct, to adhere to a self-regulatory mechanism of being responsible and not just passing a name and number, but playing a significant role in the transaction to make the transaction happen. So long as the regulatory framework allows the both, a lot of innovation can come in the brokerage framework.
Thank you, Arun. And over to you, Asha. What's your viewpoint on this?
So, being a part of the system where I have seen the transition, and I'll talk typically pre-RERA and post-RERA. So pre-RERA, and there are a lot of reasons why these things happen. It's also to do with the cost, but if I'll just mention that in the offline medium of lead generation or advertising for that matter, which might be print or outdoor and other offline ATL activities, we definitely have to mention the RERA number, or else there will be a notice which will come from the authority. Post-RERA, what happened was, this is something which is a requirement along with the digital requirement as well. However, the transition, what happened was, digital was very new in real estate. Not everybody understood what was real estate, the search, the discovery, the transaction side of the digital platform. Everybody started entering it. However, what all of us, not all of us, sorry, but few of us forgot was RERA regulation is applicable either digital or offline. So since online promotions cannot be measured and it cannot be actually tracked to the level an offline advertisement can, I have seen a lot of shift into the online digital medium post RERA, and that is not only because of the regulations which has happened in respect to getting the RERA number mentioned, but also because of the cost. But since that entry barrier, as Arun mentioned, is very low, the intelligence also, right, is something which is very important. Everybody has started doing it. Now, since developers or even brokers cannot track what are people promoting, are they promoting the right creative, are they promoting the right communication, are they promoting the right RERA number, or are they promoting the RERA number, is because of which there is a problem. But then the shift has been very, very evident from an offline medium to an online medium, from somewhere where, I pick up a number and I call up a newspaper ad, or for that matter, I go on an internet and actually search for something, or maybe I see something on an internet like a display and something, and I click on it without realizing that whether that ad has all the requisite or the information, because there's an abundance of information on the internet, which is a problem, right? And abundance of information is very confusing as well. So maybe, yes, that's a different topic that we can pick up, but the transition is very, very sporadic, right, in real estate overall, from a traditional to an online advertisement in the last 7-8 years.
Thank you, Asha. Interesting observations you've made there, very valid points that you have. Your views, Dr. Vishesh, what's your take?
I think developers and brokers both have embraced this RERA regulation with open heart. And as a marketing head, I see that there has been changes in the last 4, 5, 6 years since the RERA has been there. Like we especially see the brochure, what is going out in the market, our advertisements, like Asha rightly said. RERA number must be there, and typically we need to make sure that this is in the top right of the brochure or advertisement. So we make it sure that, this is on top right. It may be aesthetic or it might not be looking aesthetically good, but we do not want to play with any of the rules and regulations of the RERA. So whatever placing is suggested in the RERA guidelines, we do it. Like earlier, there was a trend that, once the project name was defined and license was received, so even before the launch, certain brokers who were working closely with the company, they started to make uh, the website in the name of the project. You used to see there were 3, 4, 5 websites, so they were getting leads. However, this was not ethical. But yes, this was the case in especially North India where I work. So now these things are reduced to a large extent. In last year or so, in last 2 years, I do not have seen much of such websites. Even builders are now more specific. Only after getting the RERA registration, we go out in the market, even the digital, not only print media, but even digital soft copy of the pamphlets, brochures, we do not release, we do not give to any of our channel partners before we get the RERA registration. So these are the changes that RERA brought into the mindset of the developer. So I think to a large extent, RERA compliances are there because the government authorities, DTCP, RERA, they have been quite strict with developers. So the results have been good till now. And I think 70-80% RERA compliance in North India is already there. With my direct experience, I can say.
Thank you, Doctor. And very interesting observations I've made here. We talk about more on placing of numbers in the right column than actually finishing projects on time and making sure that the specifications are what they are. And, that's the more important part of RERA, where I complete the project in 24 months and not 48 months, or I do so many other things which are very, very important. And the broker again, or the agent, has to promise blue is blue and not violet. So I think it takes two to tango, and I think it's possibly, this is a growing stage, and we'll learn as we go on. But I think it's a positive thing for the industry where there is no rule of law to some semblance of law coming in, some accountability in the industry coming in. This is a very, very important aspect of it. I think we've passed 5 years now, and I'm speaking from Bangalore's perspective. I think the renewals are just due right now at this point in time. So I see that this is going to bring in a lot of transparency. A lot of FDI funds are going to come in because of this. They've already started rolling in. And I think it's going to make this industry much more vibrant from that perspective. So moving on to my next question that I have is, given the rise of digitalization in real estate, how is the broking community keeping up with technology? I think Asha dwelled on it a little bit, and so did Arun. So over to you, Abhishek, to first share your view, what you think about digitalization.
Especially after, post-COVID, I have heard many developers saying, it is the time of consolidation, smaller developers are, it's an oversupplied market, and the market will see a consolidation in a longer run. But, for broker community, I strongly feel that, the technology is actually decentralizing the broker market. And you go and ask any of the new broker who has entered into the market, especially for his experiences of dealing in secondary sale, he will have his own story of the key holders broker, so who are basically the entry barriers. And the reason for that is it's a very close-knit group of local brokers who have decades of experience, a retail presence, who basically dictate the terms, especially into secondary sales. Now, digitalization has actually democratized the entire market, and the people who are making the best usage of it are actually going to get the right set of leads. And the traditional methods like referrals, networking, cold calling, etc., are not going to go away. But the digitalization has kind of removed the obvious entry barriers. In fact, the many tech platforms running on syndicates like Broker Network, Property Bristol, Bricken, etc. They are also enhancing the use of doing business, segregating these lone wolves, and they are actually making them a great force. So yes, I strongly believe that digitalization has led to the decentralization of forces, especially into broker market.
Thank you for your views, Mr. Abhishek. And over to you, Arun.
Yeah, very interesting point. There are some brokers who completely awe me when it comes to how they use technology very well, especially the younger ones. Very beautifully crafted. They know how to beat all the other players and still show up in first on the Google search on certain projects. Some projects show up. Some of the brokers even turn up first above the developer himself. Some of the popular developers. So some of these people are embracing digital in a beautiful way. Another thing is WhatsApp is used by everybody and also misused by many people. Once you get a number, it's not just project A for you, which you inquired. After that, lifetime you will get good mornings to everything. For even if I ask for a plot, I will get a 8 crore villa also. So I think there is a use and a overuse of technology happening for sure, which is definitely democratized, reduced the entry barrier and engaged communication big while. But going forward, there is a lot of step that these people, all the brokers can improve in terms of how to use proper lead management, how to put proper systems in place, how to help people transact better. For example, WhatsApp is being used very much, but none of these brokers are still getting onto a Zoom call with a customer and then taking them through the product well, understanding their questions, cooking them well, and then sending them to the site. That is still a very rare commodity. So inquiry management communication is happening very well on digital as well as WhatsApp. Now they need to take it to next level in terms of engagement, bringing the trust, and also being actively involved offline when it comes to transaction. These are the 2-3 next steps that they could all embrace.
Good points, good observation, especially about the lead generation and the first on Google search. That's a very important thing one should concentrate on, I guess. Over to you, Asha. What's your perspective and take on this?
So digital marketing to performance marketing, how it started was all digital marketing where it was only search, a bit of display, and a bit of social media, and how it has become performance marketing where, as Arun said, that entire funneling of a lead, or maybe giving all the benefits and all the the stages of the customer where they are in, right, it has all been incorporated. And I think this is something which really intrigues me and interests me, because digitization is something that the broking industry of real estate has really adapted very well. Where brokers were mostly reliant on cold calling and referrals, and even listing on 99 acres and a Magic Bricks, to a level where everybody is using all these different channels of lead generation. But more importantly than that, not only in respect to lead generation, but also a lot of broking platforms and a lot of broking companies have also started using machine learning and artificial intelligence, which couple of years back, or 2 years back to be very precise, was all very theoretical. So right from machine learning, where we obviously know that machine learning is mostly either descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive. Right now, at least it's at the descriptive stage where there's a lot of data, and with the data there can be a lot of analytics, and there can be a lot of intelligence which can be derived, or maybe an AI enabled chatbots which are used. So going 4 steps ahead or 5 steps ahead from a lead generation to maybe giving a better service, or maybe to understand the consumer mindset and a psyche, and customizing it and automating the marketing, is that a lot of partners and a lot of channel partners are doing it. Not everybody, I'm sure, right? And it is not possible for everybody to do it, and that is where the differentiation would be. But the bigger channel partners and the the bigger platforms have really adopted it very well. And digitization is something that I think in real estate broking fraternity has been adopted and adopted well.
Thank you, Asha, for covering a wide spectrum of what you just said on analytics and artificial intelligence, and very, very important aspects of this automation and how you're going to go through this. But this is what's going to separate the boys from the men if you really look at it. It's a cost factor that everybody can't afford. The mom and pop brokers like me can't afford this kind of stuff. And it's going to be a lot more difficult for small operations to fund than bigger corporate players to come in and new companies to come in and take over. Your take on this, Dr. Vishesh?
Digitization really very important, as Asha and Arun both have pretty much focused. So as far as leads are concerned, so digitization definitely they are getting to get more and more leads. But yes, empathy with the customer, convincing him, providing prompt service, that will always remain constant and crucial. So that we cannot take out from this cycle of booking from lead generation to closure. So with the help of all the technology, definitely new age channel partners, brokers are getting lots of leads and promoting much faster and at much less cost. So definitely this is going forward. This is the norm of the day.
Thank you, Doctor, for adding on your bit on this. And I think on digitalization, again, digressing from a perspective of what you've just said, this is the future of the business. And, I think it's here to stay, and it's a matter of time. One who embraces technology along with this is the one who's going to see growth potential. And this is going to be the way forward, the way I see it here. Coming on to my next question, with real estate deals getting bigger, more complex, and client expectations getting higher, how has the broker customer interaction changed in recent times? And over to you, Abhishek.
Yeah, sure, Mr. Farook. So, so to no offense to the fraternity, but in India, many of the customers, they treat broker as they still treat real estate brokers at the typical dalal, and because they have their own set of experience, stories of friends and family, etc. But if the same customer goes to buy a car in a car dealership, they don't treat them as broker. They treat them as a dealer. And that same dealer will first sell the car, then insurance, services, blah blah blah, and and despite the commission structure for a car dealership and a broker is mota-moti same, the entire customer experience is altogether different. And I strongly believe that as real estate broker shall evolve himself from just being a broker to a journey of broker entrepreneurship, and he shall be treating himself just like a car dealer, wherein for once a primary transaction happens, he should be able to offer all the allied services like loans, interior, probably help in secondary sales also. And it's not that this is not happening. So there are many traditional or for that matter organized brokers who are doing that and has been doing since many years. But actually it is not, for most of them it is not organized. Even if they are doing, they sound pushy. There is a trust issue, a lot of miscommunication, and which ultimately leads to a bad customer experience. And I think technology is the only kind of brahmastra which is going to solve these problems in the future.
Thank you for your inputs. I think you've had very unpleasant experiences with the broker from the tone and tenure of your conversation that I'm gathering here. But just to move this forward, from my perspective, I'm just trying to tell you that there's no harm in calling yourself a broker or a dalal. I feel proud to call myself a broker, and ethically, there's absolutely no problem. It's how you lower yourself. You can be the biggest developer in the world, but if you don't carry yourself with dignity, uh, the biggest brokers, the developers in the country today, at one point of time, were brokers, for your information. And it's not that broker is a bad word or a dalal is. It's the antiques and the things that they do sometimes that spoils the image of the fraternity. And comparative analysis to a car dealer vis-a-vis a broker, I think I'm a little confused with that, because I think the lowest ebb or the lowest rung in the ladder is the car dealer. So if your expectations of a car dealer comparison to a real estate broker are more positive in this, then I must definitely communicate to you outside the meeting today and take a few tips on what these car brokers do that they've enamored you to think this way. But all I can say is it's an experience that, it's a mirror image of how you look at others, and others look at you in the same way. And how you treat your fellow brokers is how they would treat you too. So over to you, Arun, on your take on the change that recent times. How do you perceive these, with transactions being larger and ticket sizes being much larger?
Yeah. So on one hand, this the growth of a lot of brokers coming into the picture in the last decade, and a lot of them actively being hungry and being entrepreneurs themselves. The transaction volumes in the industry, I think a big chunk of the volumes that have grown in Mumbai, Bangalore, and cities like that, big part of the growth that in real estate industry as a whole experienced is thanks to the wide network of brokers who are very active in digitally as well as offline. And earlier the broking industry itself was tough. The people who had the widest network, offline network, were the winners. But now, thanks to the digitalization, a lot of people can come in and add value, and the industry as a whole has grown. In the real estate industry as a whole has grown significantly over the last 10 years thanks to the brokers. But at the same time, due to the large transactions coming in, large number of transactions coming in, and earlier, Farook bhai, maybe 10 years down the line, a meaningful broker would have probably got about 500 leads a month, 10-20 years back. Possibly. Now it's like 5 lakh leads a month. And what is happening is, because of this, the quality of engagement is going down significantly. Sometimes I have seen that the broker himself is meeting the customer for the first time at the sales office only. They Facebook से lead आया, एक दो WhatsApp message हो गया, some transaction, some engagement happened, and he comes to the sales office. That is when they meet. Then they know that this is the representatives. Many customers themselves say that I have never come through this broker. He has not helped me at all. So on one hand, they are being the the mainstream characters who have helped us grow the industry a lot. At the same time, customer trust earning has not happened that much, and and quality of the engagement have been very sub. In my opinion, have been quite low on an overall. There are still brokers who try their best to give meaningful engagement and trust, etc. But 90%, the majority chunk, the new people coming in, attrition is very high. 50% is the attrition in a large company like 360, etc. I may just use your name, Asha. So I'm just saying very high. So loyalty of the employees is also very low. So because of this, the engagement and the kind of engagement with the customer is going quite below, is my humble opinion. So we as a whole, as industry leaders, should spend time and like Farook bhai rightly said, it's more about responsibility coming from within. Every entrepreneur should ensure that his company runs in a particular way, and there is certain engagement quality, and managing the scale at the same time is delivered well. Then we'll be surprised that what is if from 5 lakh leads, if we are doing 50 transactions today, with the same 5 lakh lead, we can do 200 transactions tomorrow. And an industry will also grow. We will also grow along with that.
Thank you, Arun. And Asha, I just wanted to check, What's your perception on high-end transactions? We're talking about transactions which are high-end right now, larger transactions. Do you see that coming out of digitalization and ads on that, or do you see that as a more personal connect where you're doing business? I'm talking about transactions where over 5 crores, 10 crores apartments and things like that. Does that happen too, or what's your experience been on this aspect?
So, so HNI and typically high-end transactions, the volume of those transactions coming from digital is quite low. The general aspect of a mid segment or maybe a bit on the higher mid segment, and that is very geography specific. Like for example, if we talk about Bangalore, anything beyond 3 crore or 4 crore, the digital lead generation as well as transaction really dips, like it nose dives. And maybe in a Kolkata or in a Pune, anything beyond 1.5 crore, right, dips. So if you're talking about 5 crore, 10 crore, then digital lead generation or digital medium is not that effective as per me. Because these are the customers who are typically going through either their EA or their CAs, and these are not the ones who are actually digitally browsing, and these are not the ones who take the first call. So that difference will always be there.
Your view on this, Doctor?
There are two types of customers basically. One is investors, like they are regular persons. They know the real market well. They are serial investors, I would say. They are owning different sort of residential, commercial, retail property. So they do not rely on digital marketing. So they have their own set of advisors, I would say, wealth manager or brokers, who they trust and whom they are familiar from some years. So they require, trusted and personalized services. So in that way, this section, like in commercial, we last year we launched some SEO plots on Dwarka Expressway in Delhi. So I've seen there are lots of investors, but those investors have come us through their own brokers. They have not reached through us through digital means. So this is the one customer who requires more personalized service. Then there are routine customers, like I call end users or retail customers. They are really one-time buyers primarily. So they search online and they come to you through brokers directly to you.
What is the ticket size of this lot?
If we talk about end user retail customers, I'm talking about ticket sizes of 1 CR to 2 CR. So they are also retailers. If someone is purchasing a 2 BHK, 3 BHK, so in NCR somewhere it ranges from 1 CR to 2.5 CR, 3 CR. So this is end user retail customer to me. And investor is someone who is investing 5 CR plus, 5 CR, 10 CR, 20 CR, even 50 CR also. So they are into more personalized sort of services. So the guys, the channel partners who are traditionally in this business, I must say, whose father was also a broker. So I know certain number of people, their families into broking. So they are having many of the deep size pocketed people. So that is altogether different set of investors, customers who are exclusive to certain people, and good or bad, but this is the way it is right now.
Thank you, Doctor. And moving on to our next question. Views on trending fine line of regulations and working within them while ensuring sales for the developer. What's your views on this, Mr. Abhishek?
I think it is beyond digitalization, beyond regulation. All organized and kind of unorganized, brokers. They have embraced PRERA regulations, for that matter, digitalization also. But then it is largely, limited to online lead generation through platforms like Meta, Google, etc. In true sense, all this, all digitalization is if it is backed by AI, ML, automation, or analytics, it is going to play a larger role in terms of implementation of rules and regulations. And these are actually the buzzword currently in the real estate market. I was also going through a few of the reports, by Deloitte on Indian broking market, wherein they have, identified that, regulations and technological, innovations have significantly affected the models of, organized brokers, and it may shift their responsibility, expertise, and, risk-taking ability, and it is going to affect the in a longer run the profit margins as well. So yeah, the right mix of regulation, digitalization has changed the things, has changed the perspective of brokers, and it is going to affect in a longer run.
Thank you, Mr. Abhishek. Over to you, Arun. What's your perspective?
Yeah, so as discussed in the previous questions, my answer for this is very short. I think regulation right now is not grown to that extent where it is tough to do business, yeah, especially in the RERA from a RERA point of view. So I think at the moment it's about registration and a few formalities, and the brokers are currently allowed to do whatever they want to do. There are no big restrictions. We are able to play our natural game. But going forward, I hope that the restrictions, the regulations will also mature enough so that to become that control mechanism to avoid the mis-selling happening, and avoid things like kickbacks, unethical practices, and things like that. Hopefully, over the next few years, RERA will come out with new set of guidelines for this. And at that particular point of time, the good people who are following ethical practices and working really hard, I am sure they will be able to grow faster. And the people who are used to mis-selling as well as unethical practices, I'm sure naturally the brake will fall on them, and a lot of them will actually be out of the industry and making the overall broker community's image look good in the long run.
Thank you, Arun. I think we are running short of time. We have about 5 minutes left. Asha, to you, and then the final question.
So when we see that how are brokers managing and balancing between the fine line of a RERA regulation as well as the marketing and getting leads and selling, I don't think that's a challenge right now. I think the bigger challenge is where when we say the customer demand has increased, I think I will just say that the customer's demand has not increased. I think the only thing that the customer is actually demanding is transparency. And with overabundance of information which is there available and circulating across all the market, what they really crave for is a very transparent and a very ethical information that can be given to them. And it's the responsibility of all the brokers, with or without RERA, that that kind of sense of faith should be there in the customer's mind, and that is where the transactions will happen, because the customer has changed, and it is they are going to change more, they're going to evolve more, they are more informed, they are much more exposed to the kind of the same industry globally, how they operate and what kind of services they get and what kind of benefits that they get, and that's what they are demanding. And I think as brokers or as developers, we should just follow that, and keep in mind that the customers are first.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Asha. Over to you, Doctor.
In fact, it's not contrary. Being following the regulations and doing the sales, both can go hand in hand. So regulatory is it's not optional. You have to be in line with the law. So there is no other way out. So being in the regular framework and doing the sales hand by hand. So there is no other option, and I think market has really imbibed all the regulations. Builders, as far as I know, people are following the norms. Maximum builders, I will see, because regulations are so tough. There is no other way to flout the norms. And whoever builder want to remain in the industry, do well, want to do grow, they have only one option: follow the regulations and do the sales. Thank you.
Doctor, the key takeaway from this last question was trust and transparency, the keywords which the customer is looking for, and rightfully so. He's paying the developer the money, through the broker or the agent or the channel partner. And I think he deserves this more than anybody. It's his birthright as a right of a customer to do that. So from that perspective, I now move on to the last question, and we're just going to wrap this up. 30 seconds each of you so that we don't break the timeline. Your opinion on the future paradigm changes that we will see in the real estate selling in India. I'll make it a minute each. Start off with you, Abhishek.
Sure, Mr. Farook. Especially in the last 3 years, the digital lead generations, user, especially for the broker community, the digital lead generation, listing, microsite, etc., are just tip of, I think are just the tip of iceberg called digitalization. And for brokers to sustain, the best usage will be when it is leading to a lower or rather a controlled, CAC, and resulting into higher sales velocity. And trust me, it is going to come only when the 90% of this iceberg called digitalization is explored. And that's where the Martech plugs in. And there are multiple platforms which are offering these services like CRM, LMS, campaign management, a performance meter for pre-sales, lead marketplace, etc. And most importantly, what they are also doing is, they are giving automated reports on WhatsApp at FTD, WTD level. These aspects are really going to change, bring in a paradigm shift in broker market, and those who are adaptable and have the eagerness to learn are going to succeed in the long
Thank you, Abhishek. Over to you, Arun.
Yeah, so in 30 seconds, I will not break the timeline, but one of the things that a lot of innovation is possible in, a lot of potential is there in the intermediary industry. I'm not calling it brokerage, anything is intermediation industry at the end of the day. One of the things that we feel is a very big paradigm shift is the exclusive selling that we are doing, Flow Realty is doing, where we are adding value to the developer as well as we are adding value to the customer at the same time, while being an intermediary. We are helping them with strategy, end-to-end goals, completely outsourcing the sales and marketing aspects from a developer, and literally adding value to them at the same time in a transparent and fair way using technology. Working with many other developers, trying to ensure that the transactions happen quite seamlessly while building a layer of trust. That is one of the things that we believe in, and that's what Flow Reality is all about.
Thank you, Arun. Very well said. And over to you, Asha.
So I'll just say 3 points. I think the road ahead is towards sustainability and global standards, right? At the same time, customers are looking for better designs and transparency. And most importantly, since digitization is the theme and is the thing right now, I think, it has to go beyond, and I'll not take much time in describing all that, but right from Internet of Things to blockchain, I think this is the future.
Thank you, Asha. Very important point that you mentioned is sustainability and global standards. International standards is what we need to adapt to. We've been doing this in everything that we adapted so far. And I think why not real estate and real estate broking, where it's the most disorganized, not just from a perspective from a broker or a developer perspective, but the whole industry has had a kind of a shady look, a look of people looking at it with jaundiced eyes to see that the transactions, people involved in it, whether from the development side, broking side, or procurement of land side, have all had a very cloudy, shady outlook. But that doesn't mean that the industry is like that. You've seen more transparency. You've seen the biggest players coming out of the market, doing wonderful things, achieving global standards in what they're doing. And I think this is an industry that's here to stay, and this is an industry that's going to grow. And we're going to see a lot of this happening in the coming decades. And over to you, Doctor, for your final word on this before we hand it over to Sapna and the Realty Plus team.
Technology will keep moving ahead, 3D, augmented reality to metaverse and all. So as an organization, as a broker network, we need to be adaptive and keep changing ourselves with the technology. and benchmark with the best. I firmly believe that as Indians, we are on the right path, and we will firmly benchmark ourselves. So future is bright. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Rightly said. We've got to benchmark ourselves against the best, and we are the best of the best. The whole world is coming to India, and they're not coming to India because we are cheap. They're coming to India because we're ethical, we're good at what we do, and we will be there in the years to come, generations to come. You will see a lot of this happening. And this industry right now is on the threshold. It's going to take that leap forward where you're going to see a kind of a change where the new age broker, as I call it, is going to take over the market. He's going to have transparency. He's going to come out with trust. He's also going to be selling you things with artificial intelligence and international way of doing business. So I think you're going to see a lot of good things happening to this industry. Over to you, Sapna, and the team of Exchange for Media to conclude this. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Mahmood. I think that was a very positive note of ending this discussion, that yes, good things are ahead and we are progressing on the right way. But one of the panel members, he mentioned that a car dealer gets more respect than probably a broker. How do you see that changing? How do we reach there where, broker is not a bad word, or channel partner is not something. You have been in the industry for longest of the years. You have seen things changing. What more can we do to bring that respect into this segment?
I did answer that question. It's how you perceive and carry yourself. And I think I might be older than everybody here. I think my experiences in this business has been over 40 years plus. So from that perspective, I would say it's how you carry yourself. Why have you been in this business so long? It's basically the trust and the transparency factor, along with the factor of, we being in the business, when there's a call that comes in, we pick up that call and not cut it off or change telephone numbers. I always tell my people, whoever we're dealing with, a very famous developer from Mumbai approached us to market this project. And I said, I want to meet your boss, have a one-on-one before we undertake to sell this. He says, no, you can't meet my boss. He's too big a guy. And I told him, we're not interested in doing business with a person who we can't interact with this boss. Because today you're here in this job and tomorrow you decide for better options and opportunities to move to another company. I'm not going to be saddled with the responsibility of crores or hundreds of crores of my investors sitting down on a developer who I have no access to, and I'm trying to reach a developer's person whose number would have possibly changed and gone down to somebody down in the ranks there who doesn't even know what's happening. So my key on this is a car broker, no harm with him. All due respect to him. They're very nice people. They're good people in every industry. But I think how you carry yourself, how you maintain and how you maintain these relationships. It's a business of relationships over the years, and how you maintain them is where you are at the end of the day. And I think that can only come with, it's not how big you are or how wealthy you are, or how much sales you do and what your turnover is. Because the name of the game right now is the valuation game, which I think is not the right way of doing business. I mean, you'll be there for a while, but it's not going to be there always. Once you take your money and you're out of it, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about being there, growing into the business, people coming second generation, third generation. We're third generation of brokers. Not that we don't have other fields of business. We are also into development, we're into marketing, we're into land banking, but every business and every part of it that we've done it with dignity. We've done it basically keeping one thing in mind, and that is the trust factor. Because once you lose trust, you've lost everything. You can make money, you can have a new office, you can do everything. And the car broker thing is a very, very important example. Like I think it was Abhishek who used this connotation that the car brokers provide insurance, they do this. Well, there are real estate agents who also provide these services of in-house documentation. They give you bank finance, they give you identification of projects. So I'm saying that, we as a company are a supermarket where we provide all services, and there are many like us, bigger than us also, players who are doing this and who've been in the business for decades together. So I would say the key word to this is the respectability, and the trust factor with transparency is where you will see this business growing, and you don't have to worry about the lead generation. Where out of 500,000, if you convert even 499,000 who are not happy with you. I'd rather do the 1,000 who are happy with me, who will give me more business at the end of the day.
So that's professionalism and trust factor is what Mr. Farook Mahmood is saying, which will bring respectability to the entire segment of this business, I believe. And RERA is a start. We have a long way to go, but still, Dr. Vishesh, Rawat, as a developer, from a developer point of view, how have you seen the, the channel partner segment evolving over the years?
Yes, it has been evolving. Like I said, there are two set of channel partners basically. One is like Farook Bhai, who was their father was into the business, or families into the business, so they enjoy trust of many people and investors. They provide the personalized service to them from long time. So the guys who are having money with them, who are having deep pockets, they want to do business with people whom they know. They do not want to go with new people. So that set of customers is one. Now there are new people who are like one-time customers. You get them through digital. So new generation channel partners who are young, educated, they are good at technology. So definitely they are doing good business. I know certain people who were working with real estate developer 3-4 years back. They are now doing their own work, and some of them are very successful. They carry themselves with pride. They look like a professional. They give professional service to the customer,
Right.
and they have made their mark in the industry. So I would say, like other industries, this industry is also open for all. There are all kind of people, but now as many well-educated, well-established people are coming into this brokerage business, so the bar is going up.
That's right. That's right. When we talk about consolidation happening in this segment, yes, consolidation is happening in this segment. Fly-by night operators are now leaving this segment, but we are also, as you rightly mentioned, a lot of educated, young guys who are joining it, taking it up as a career, as a long-term career for themselves. So we are seeing both sides of the business here. Arun here is, and Abhishek and Asha, we have examples who are bringing in, that kind of professionalism, that kind of technology and digitization to make it even more professional and even more transparent and trustworthy for the industry. And in fact, in one of our sessions earlier, a lot of the developers, they had said, channel partners are our biggest allies. And if we are talking about after-sales service for customers, for our channel partners also, we should be looking at that, pampering our channel partners. So thank you so much for that wonderful conversation and, giving us both sides of the story, the dark side and, the bright side, the bright future that we have for this segment. I think our audience has got to know what are the new shifts happening. Yes, complexities and difficulties are there, but the future is bright. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here with us. Abhishek, for being here, sharing your perspective. Farook ji, for so well conducting this session. I know you are very busy right now and still taking up this conversation. Dr. Vishesh Rawat, thank you so much for being here, giving us that developer's perspective, how things are moving in this industry. Arun and Asha, for being here with us today for your views and perspective on this topic. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thanks a lot for
Thank you
having
so
us.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's a pleasure
Thank
speaking
you
to
so
all of
much.
you.